So, thanks very much. The Men's Alliance and our private money care support group on Facebook were founded in 2018. The primary goals of believing in male victims of domestic abuse, guiding them to the little help available, and raising awareness of the many issues they face. These three goals have led to an active community of over 1,100 men from Northern Ireland supporting each other when they're at their lowest, isolated, and thinking they will not be believed. Abuse does not happen 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and the money support groups are available 24/7, 365, addressing the needs of a man who has maybe considered getting help for months, and having finally reached out, because he is now in crisis, he needs help immediately. Our Northern Ireland group is predominantly heterosexual men in intimate relationships, although we do support a small number of gay, bisexual, transsexual men facing exactly the same sorts of issues. Our support network also operates in England, Scotland and Ireland, with regional men's groups, and additional help is available to mothers, sisters, colleagues and friends of male victims through our Money, Family and Friends support group. Our support also extends into the real world, with general telephone and social worker advice, an active weekly gym night, periodic walks, and a small team of dedicated volunteer counsellors providing assistance to our members. I'm glad to see some of them here today. And while we're on this point, some of the information that may be shared may be triggered into some. If you do wish to speak to a counsellor, we do have anything available today that we'd be quite happy to talk to at any stage, any step of volunteering. So please let somebody know, we can arrange that for you. Reading daily updates within the groups gives us a unique perspective on issues that men are facing today in Northern Ireland as male victims of abuse. The impact on both their physical and mental health, and their views on how they are perceived and supported by both voluntary and statutory services. I'd like to give you an insight into the reality of how the system works for many of the male victims we support. The story is based on real events experienced by many of our members, most of whom have experienced at least one of these issues. John has been verbally abused, belittled and demeaned in front of his family and friends and children for years, with the abuse escalating to the point where she now slaps and hits him on a regular basis. But John doesn't react. He is not a violent person. He is a guardian for his wife and family. They are to protect them, not to put them in danger. He says and does nothing, as he does not wish to get the mother of his children into trouble. He's washing the dishes when he feels something pointed at his neck. She is holding a knife to his throat as one of the kids walks in, not knowing what is going on. She hides the knife as John backs away, scared for his life. Backed into a corner, scared for his life, fearful he would not be believed, John calls the police, who are at the front door in a few minutes. Met by his partner, she makes allegations of his violence towards her. John is handcuffed and taken from the house in front of his children. Released from custody the following day with no advice on what to do or who to turn to, he receives an ex parte non-molestation order, so he cannot return to his home. He has no car, as it is in her name. He has no clothes, as they are in the house he cannot return to. He has no money, as she takes it all. He has no friends or family, as she is alienated from over town. He is alone. He calls a housing executive for accommodation, but does not know to tell them he is a victim of domestic abuse, as he is not able to identify it for what it is. They class him as a single man. As such, he cannot return to his home with bedrooms. As such, he cannot get a home with bedrooms for his children, and ends up in a homeless shelter. The foundations are already being laid to make him less likely to get meaningful contact with his children. Suffering with poor mental health after years of abuse, and in a place unsuitable for his kids to visit, so starting the process of alienation from the most important thing in his life. John doesn't realise it yet. He is better off than most, with so many men sleeping in cars, sofa surfing, or on the streets. John is in a downward spiral, with no one offering help or belief in his story, his truth. John works hard, unable to contact his young children due to the ex parte non-molestation order. He calls a help organisation who refused to help, as the NMO labels him as an alleged criminal. John is suffering with low mood, panic attacks, lack of focus, and poor performance in work and sleepless nights, all the time wanting to see the most precious thing in his life. Eventually, he manages to save a deposit for private rental. He makes sure he has an extra bedroom for his precious children, and having successfully defended the false allegations and non-molestation order with no repercussions for his abuser, is looking forward to having his children over to stay. The phone rings. It's social services inviting him for an interview. He is stressed and confused for a week as the interview time comes around and is shocked to face false allegations of abuse towards his children. He is prevented from seeing his kids until the investigation is complete. For the next 6 months, John works hard, saving every penny he can while also paying high child maintenance as he does not have his kids at all, and growing legal costs. The downward spiral is continuing as he does not have any help. He is now suffering from depression and anxiety. Suicidal thoughts are creeping in as he wrongly believes he cannot speak to his doctor because seeking help or medication will be held against him when it comes to child contact. John also does not look for help as he believes these things do not happen to other men. He has never heard of a man in the same position. He can just imagine the friends he had telling him to grow a set or to man up. Research shows that when women experience domestic abuse, they see it as an issue for all women. A man sees it as an issue for himself and causes isolation. Social services complete their investigation and close the file. Yet again, no repercussions for his abuser. John is free to see his children at last, but his ex-partner refuses. No reasons are given, but she will only agree to him seeing his own kids in a contact centre for 1 hour a week. John cannot afford the legal costs for a contact order. He agrees to what is offered just to get to see his kids. He is early for the first appointment, excited, waiting impatiently, presents and sweets ready, but his children don't arrive. The police do, and arrest him for allegations of rape. And so the cycle of false allegations and abuse continues, by proxy via government services and systems, towards an innocent man, devastating his mental health, ignoring his calls for help, and isolating him when he needs us most. Just imagine for a second now how that would feel. You may feel this is extreme, but we know this is happening to many men on a regular basis. The system is letting men down and openly being used to further the abuse and control of innocent men and fathers, and in doing so, further victimising these men who have done nothing wrong. It could, of course, be said that these men are lying. These men are abusers trying to deflect from their actions. But the men who speak to us ask nothing of us but support to rebuild their shattered lives. Their ex-partners are immediately believed, and the consequences to these men are devastating. A few facts and figures. There's not a single specialist bed for a man in crisis in Northern Ireland. No refuge for men, no 24-hour wraparound care. 1 in 3 victims of abuse are male, and this is expected to increase with the new coercive control laws due to the type of abuses that men face. 1 in 6 men will face abuse in their lifetime. 5 of 9 domestic homicides in 2021 to 22 were male. In a survey of our Northern Ireland group members, we had 61 responses to 65 questions, and some indicative figures of their experiences. I would like to focus in just on one in particular. When asked about the direct consequences of their abuse, men suffered anxiety, 92%, depression, 81%, panic attacks, 50%, suicidal thoughts, tragically, 43% of men have considered taking their own lives. Undoubtedly, there is a link between high suicide rates of men, alienation from the children, and domestic abuse, and we would call for more research into this area. We need to include the men in conversation around domestic abuse. Let them understand that they are seen and that it happens to other men too. So many of our members believe they are only one, as male domestic abuse is not openly discussed. Or worse, they are further victimised through media that portrays men as the problem and domestic abuse as a gender crime, whilst ignoring the thousands of male victims. Men are not the problem. Abusive men are part of the problem, and abusive women are the other part of the problem. People abuse people. And these are important distinctions to male victims we support and should be clear in all discussions around domestic abuse. These men very rarely speak out for fear of society and services not believing in them, because of embarrassment, social stigma or shame, because they are told it doesn't happen to other men, for fear of repercussions of false allegations or having child contact refused. One of our survivors recently spoke of the ultimate cost. I am so glad I found this group last night and I'm not alone anymore. I was planning to kill myself today. These men do not want to be seen as second-class victims. They want what they deserve and what they're entitled to from all services, which is to be believed and be supported as they travel towards being survivors.